Hello.
Hello.
Oh, come, Emmanuel. My favourite Advent hymn. Oh, actually, no. Lo, he comes with clouds descending. That is probably my most favourite Advent hymn.
The Christingle is an orange. Oh, no, that's my favourite.
That's your least favourite Advent hymn.
Oh.
How long expected Jesus.
Lovely hymns, aren't they?
Oh, I love Advent hymns.
Jordan's bank, the Baptist cries.
Oh, yes. And Joy to the World is an Advent hymn. Because we always sing it as a Christmas carol, but it's an Advent hymn too.
I usually have it on the fourth Sunday of Advent. Yeah. I often pick it on the fourth Sunday of Advent.
Oh.
Yes, Advent is here. Today we complete a whole year of Rev Chat. Number 52. Yeah.
I should have
I've made something to celebrate. Hang on a second. You have to have a birthday candle, don't you?
Is it cake? Tell me it's a cake. I want a cake. Oh, it's an Advent wreath.
It's an Advent wreath. Lovely. Crudely put together, as you've seen already, but the viewer can't see because I'm holding it below the camera. But it's an Advent wreath.
That's fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was going to be coat hangers and tinsel as per the Blue Peter instructions.
Blue Peter, yeah. I should put the Advent ring just there. As Bishop Nicholas always says at meetings, I've lit the diocesan candles on the bookshelf just behind me. Do tell me if it sets us on fire, he always says.
Will you remain?
Sorry, Bishop.
You're going to set yourself
watching. I didn't mean to take fun of you. I really didn't.
I think you're making a wild assumption that the Bishop of Salisbury watches this.
No.
I think it's high.
One never knows. Who could be looking?
No, one never knows. Anyway, do you know, actually, it still won't be really Advent, will it, by the time... So we're recording on a Tuesday. This will probably go live Wednesday or Thursday. And we're thinking about Advent Sunday coming, but it's not quite here yet, is it?
Not at the moment.
Little premature.
It wouldn't get online if we didn't record it till Advent Sunday, would it? It would be late.
That's true. I wore my nearly Christmas jumper in honour. I have sort of... This is sparkly and looking like a Christmas jumper, but it doesn't have a festive design.
Well, I'm wearing my lockdown Advent shirt.
Are you? Does that mean you're in your trackies and your sandals?
You've got it exactly. Not my sandals, yeah, but yeah, I've got it all on. No, I've just got shorts on, just shorts.
Of course.
Yeah, because I went for the first run this morning.
Did you?
And I run.
Was it? Was it a run? Was there a little segment of jogging?
No, I've still got to shed a few more ounces to get to the running weight. Lots of ounces to get to the running weight.
Excellent.
But yesterday I did 17,000 steps.
Oh, that's 17,000. That's excellent.
It was because I did my 3.4 miles in the morning.
Yeah.
And then with the First Lady of the Rector reviewer, we went out for her afternoon, because now we're back in lockdown. You have to go for your compulsory walk, don't you?
You do.
So I accompanied her on her lockdown walk, feeling guilty because I'd already done mine. I wasn't sure I was allowed to do two.
I think you're allowed to do more than one at the moment.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, then.
I've been out twice already today. So.
Well done. So all in all, it's a lockdown feel still, but to come a week on Thursday, we'll be back to bounding about as ever. Yeah, in a way, I was just hoping we could still be in lockdown at Christmas, because I could have pretended to be asleep watching to see Father Christmas come.
It would have made things a lot simpler, I have to say.
Yeah.
I know that's a terrible thing to say as a priest in the Church of England, but I'm slightly dreading Christmas this year because it's going to be really complicated and really potentially stressful. And it would be really, and I understand, I mean, it's fabulous that people want to come and worship. You know, that is not a problem. Worship is always great. But the logistics of it this year are doing my head in already. And it would be much easier if they just locked us down till January. And then wouldn't have to worry.
I was hoping and preparing for the lockdown, so I started to get my beard to apply for the Father Christmas job.
Okay.
I'm going to have to shave it off again now because it's not going to happen.
We'd have to put you in a pod and then people come view you.
I'm not a pea.
A Father Christmas pod.
Oh, it's okay. I thought you meant a green.
I saw one. You know how you can get clear plastic baubles and then you've got something inside. Yeah. Well, there was a Father Christmas inside but like a human Father Christmas inside an enormous bauble, like a giant bauble, and the children could touch but not get near.
Well, I saw a thing on Facebook yesterday which had got nothing to do with a bauble or Father Christmas.
Go on.
It showed you a man with a Wellington over his head. And the caption said, I said I'd run out of masks, so they told me to try boots.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it was rather strange, but there we are.
Oh, shall we read? Oh, we'll have our pause.
I think we should have a pause. Hang on. I'll bring something back in for the pause moment.
I've just heard my children come home. I think my youngest son was reenacting the Battle of Hastings today.
Oh, was he? Has he got a patch on his eye?
I don't know. I can hear him talking about the Bayeux Tapestry, so they had to do their own version.
Very French Bayeux Tapestry.
Very French. So we're in a new year. Happy New Year.
Yeah, and to you too.
On Advent Sunday, and we're in Mark's Gospel, and it's Mark 13:24 to the end.
It is.
The coming of the Son of Man. But in those days after that suffering, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. Then he will send out the angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that he is near, at the very gates. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But about that day or hour, no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. That didn't work, did it? Hold on.
Right, we can go back to it now. Thank you for that. I knew I'd forgotten part of it, hadn't I? Thank you. I was trying to make it look more realistic.
Well, they're I completely lost the plot now. I don't know what to do, whether to start.
But about that day or hour, no one knows whether the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Beware, keep alert, for you do not know when the telephone will ring. It is like a man going on a journey when he leaves home and puts his slaves in charge, each with his work, and he commands the doorkeeper to be on the watch. Therefore, keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or at dawn, or else he may find you asleep when he comes suddenly and will have to ring you to get in. And what I say to you, I say to all, keep awake. That's what Advent's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. Being prepared, like every good Boy Scout knows.
You would think so. You would think so.
We were laughing because before we started recording Rev Chat, the communications expert was trying to turn the ringer off my phone. And I thought he'd done that, but clearly he hadn't. Oh, well.
Well, I said to you many weeks ago when we had this problem once with my phone, it had taken me all of 7 years to realise that the big red blue button in the middle of the phone, which says do not disturb, meant if you pressed it, it didn't ring.
Yeah, but I haven't got one of those buttons.
No.
That's the problem. Anyway, there we are.
No.
That's his life.
So yeah, Advent. Be prepared. That's what it's about. To be prepared. You weren't prepared enough.
I wasn't. It's true. Often unprepared.
But I did try to make it look realistic by having the phone, pretending it was me ringing you. Did you?
But why would you ring me when you're already on a Zoom call with me? Okay.
Well,
anyway, thank you.
That was part of the realism
nice
of
chat from Clipper Tees, and I'll ring him back. So,
that's a nice one. Clipper Tees, good Beaminster company.
I know. Right. So, what are we talking about? It's about the end of times again, isn't it? We've been in this for the last couple of weeks about end times. When I was a little girl, I often thought about Advent because, I always ask the kids in school, who are we waiting for? And they go, you know the ones who tell you it's Santa, and then the ones who tell you it's Jesus. But we are waiting for Jesus. But when I was a little girl, I always thought it's silly because we already know the story of Christmas. So I always thought it was a bit odd to wait for someone who'd already arrived. But of course, the point is we're waiting for him to come again. So do you think just Advent and Christmas is just a grand big retelling for us, reminding ourselves who we're waiting for and just sitting here waiting for him to come again?
It's a bit like the communion service, isn't it?
Go on.
That every time we do it, we're reenacting what had gone on before. And although we know what the result was, and it wasn't a very good outcome for Jesus, he asked us to reenact it every time. And for me, Advent, and particularly the first Sunday of Advent, it doesn't matter which of the years you read, they all start off roughly on the same thing: be prepared. You sometimes get John the Baptist saying, prepare a road, and not that bit of Isaiah, which he quotes, because he liked Isaiah. And so for me, what this story about, while it is, of course, about reminding us about end times, as we said before, what this one is reminding us about is that we've got to be ready for when Jesus comes. And are we, ever? Because, as I should probably say in my sermon for Sunday's online service, what I recorded first thing in the morning, Advent is one of those times we know as Christians that it's about perhaps just stopping, spending some time quietly with a nice lit candle, perhaps reading a particular book like we're going to be doing this year, or perhaps just sitting down with some kind of prayer or Bible. But what do we spend Advent doing? Or what would we normally spend Advent doing if we hadn't got coronavirus?
Rushing around.
We'd be racing around trying to find a jumper to wear on Christmas Day. We'd be racing around trying to make sure we got the last pair of slipper socks to send to Auntie Bertha because we realise we haven't sent her a present. We'd be trying to make sure we got all the presents wrapped for all the people who we talk about for the rest of the year, but suddenly have this great love for at Christmas. And we're busy singing carols on the 2nd of December because we have to have the carol service early to get it out of the way so that we can do all the other things that get in the way of celebrating Christmas. And you and I have both been asked in the past, and I have many times in other churches, can we have our carol service on on Advent Sunday? Blah, blah, blah. But what we're being asked to do is to be ready. Actually get yourself ready, because actually it's a bit like expecting, I would think. Not that I've ever expected. Well, I have, but not in the same way that you expected. It's a long wait. It's got all kinds of things that are going on, and and emotions and feelings and tiredness and pain and etc. And this is a bit about that. We've got to get ready. We've got to be in the right attitude to receive Jesus when he comes again. But we take the Corporal Jones approach, don't we, to Advent? Don't panic, don't. And we're busy rushing around all the time.
Yeah.
When we know we should just be sat still, quiet, reflecting, recognising that this is a special moment we're preparing for. And the lessons we're going to, you and I will no doubt discuss over the next couple of weeks, are all pointing to that. Be ready, prepare, get ready, make sure the conditions are right. Don't rush around like an headless chicken or turkey, because that's what we all do. And we miss it.
Mm. Well, and
You
also
miss the real joy.
there's that sense that if you're not doing what Jesus wants you to do now, you're gambling on having got yourself in gear by the time he comes. It's a bit like we were talking about procrastination yesterday, about the fact that, often we would prefer to do anything.
Can I just look that up in the dictionary? Oh, yes. Yeah.
About you prefer to do anything sometimes other than the task that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And sometimes the task that needs to be done is engaging with living more closely to God. And whether that is about carving out more time to pray or being more intentional in the things we do in our lives that reflect our Christian faith, or whether it's reading our Bible again, or whether it's being proactive and campaigning for things, whatever it may be, if we're not careful, we can always put it off to another time. And then there's a point maybe where it will be too late and we will regret that we didn't do those things. And so being, urgent in our stillness is probably an important thing. But actually, this is more important than anything else. If being close to God and living your way according to Jesus's plan is more important than anything else.
And this year more than ever, already, if you drive down to Beaminster, which you will do when you're allowed to be unlocked again, you cannot move all the way down from Clipper T, this famous man who's just rang you. And you cannot move for lights.
Oh, lovely, really? Can't wait.
You cannot move. When you get to my good friend Bailey's the Builders, the person who lives in one of their bungalows, all right, the lights are up for cancer research. You can donate towards them. But it's like being in America with, the biggest wreath I've ever seen on the roof. And it's lovely. And it's all, but so people are so busy doing all of that stuff. By the time they get to Christmas, they've had enough of it.
Yeah.
And I remember last year, somebody who I know very well got so fed up of the lights, they didn't put them on Christmas Day, and they took them all down on Boxing Day. And as Christians, we sometimes, as my good lady wife says, live in a parallel world, don't we? Because we get to Christmas Day and start all being excited and joyful because we're going to celebrate Christmas, and everybody else has missed it because they've been so busy, wrapped up in what it entails to live this Christmas that they're trying to achieve, which very few people ever achieve, of sitting by the log fire with the Christmas tree glowing, the children playing happily with their Meccano, and girls' hair styling kit, etc., etc. And if you don't prepare, if you don't get the road straight, if you don't meet Jesus and get to know him a little bit more, God, a little bit better, then you miss the whole joy of what Christmas is about.
So there's a challenge: keep Advent. I'm relenting actually this year, and we'll have our decorations up early. I'm normally the person who tries to put them off till Christmas Eve. But I think there's an element of needing a bit of cheer. But that doesn't mean just because your Christmas decorations are up doesn't mean you can't keep a holy Advent and keep a time of waiting and watching, ready for the big day.
I would agree entirely. I've no problem with any of that. I'm not a Grinch when it comes to decoration. I love to see them. I love to wander around in the dark around Beaminster and see and see everyone, whatever. I love to see the excitement and the enjoyment. But when you but if you're not careful and you let that take precedence over what it's all about, you miss the real joy. And we all want everyone to have a good time. We I think, as you quite rightly said, there is an element of need at the moment for some kind of, joyful time in life. It's remembering, as and it is corny, I know, but I use it regularly enough. What is the reason for the season? And I often say, and you've probably heard me say in schools, if you've been there, I say to children, if it wasn't Christmas Day and Jesus hadn't been born, you'd be at school. Oh, good card. Got a card viewer coming up. Jesus is the reason for the thing. That's exactly it.
Made for me by a lovely lady called Jane in Blackburn.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And as I was just saying, Jo, I often say in school assemblies just before the children finish, if I've been taking assembly, if it wasn't for Jesus being born on Christmas Day, the greatest gift of all, you'd be at school tomorrow.
Good.
So there we are.
There we are.
So back in with my own. You talk while I hold the Advent candle.
If you want some ideas of how to keep a holy Advent, then on our website, beaminsterteamchurches.org/Advent, you will find a host of resources. The book we're reading, there's lots of online resources, there's things you can print off, there's things that are creative that you can do, there's ways of following Advent outside, there's ways of reading your way through Advent in the Bible, all kinds of different ways, and links to lots of external places. So follow us for a holy Advent. Our Advent reflections kick off on the 1st of, I was about to say October, but that would be wrong, December. And we will...
Like being prepared.
And there's one every day, and you can find them from the first, a week today, in fact, and follow those through for a holy Advent with us, and we will be back next week.
There is a tradition. There is a tradition in the Rectory household over the last 6 or 7 years of the...
Ooh. EDIVD.
Every day is Valentine's Day. Do you remember the thing a few years ago?
I remember that, but this is on the Advent calendar.
This became the Advent calendar for every day is Valentine's Day. Excellent. And I never took the poster off because I was too mean to make another one. But because I know Mrs. Rector very rarely watches Rev Chat. Rather pleased about that, really. She doesn't know, but the gifts are already bought. They're not cheap junk this year from the pound shop, I'll have you know. They're just cheap junk from somewhere else.
Excellent. So it's
an Advent calendar in any other way.
Perfect. Jolly good. We'll see you next week. Have a good week and enjoy the beginning of Advent when it comes.
And in good Boy Scout behaviour, be prepared.
We're about to press the wrong button.